Well, we're live, Paul. We're
Awesome.
here. We made it. Looking forward to this conversation. Hello, everyone out there. Hopefully, you're getting settled in for another great episode of the Nonprofit Coffee Talk. We'll get officially started right at 11:30, so you have time to run for one last cup of coffee or glass of water, or whatever you need to be with you next to you as you listen to this episode and watch it. So you have 3 minutes and we'll get going. So Paul, where are you physically? Where are you from? Where do you live?
So I am just outside of Portland, Oregon,
Nice.
which is super lovely.
Yes.
I grew up in the Northwest, and if we didn't live here, we'd probably live in New York.
Oh wow, yeah.
Just for the energy of it and the choices and just what's going on. But here, the Northwest it's so beautiful, and we have 4 very distinct seasons, and things are so green. We just really can't. And the pace is just really perfect.
Beautiful.
So. Yeah, it's great. I couldn't imagine, with the exception of New York City, I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. Maybe Madrid, Spain.
Oh yes, that would be cool.
That I think that might be where we end up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
That would be very cool. Yeah, I love that idea. A lot of people are doing that too, like starting to live abroad.
Well, yeah, and countries are making it easier to get work visas. And the thing is that what I do and have done for a long time, it can be done anywhere, right? And philanthropy outside of the United States just has not caught up, right? The level of sophistication, the scale, there's still a long way to go.
So there's a lot of opportunity there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, maybe we'll end up there. We'll see. It's why not?
Why not? I so want to go to Barcelona. That's at the top of my list. But I hear Madrid is amazing too. So
do both. Barcelona is like a very easy hour-and-a-half plane ride, maybe not even an hour and a half. It's super cheap to fly from Madrid to Barcelona, and it's really lovely. It's really lovely.
I will do that. Yeah. Once I get over there, I think I want to try to do a long trip and get everywhere. Get as many places as I can.
Yeah, like we didn't have a chance to go to northern Spain, which some friends of ours really highly recommended. We just didn't have time, and we feel we missed out on Portugal.
I've heard wonderful things about Portugal.
Yeah. So that's still on the list, high on the list to go back.
That's great.
Yeah.
I also have Iceland up at the top of my list.
We are going in June.
I'm so jealous.
We're going to spend two days in Iceland, and then go on to 5 days in Denmark and 5 days in Sweden.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
And I'll tell you, we weren't thinking Iceland, but a coworker of my wife's went, and it's a direct flight from Portland.
Nice.
It's a direct flight, and it's only 7 hours.
Oh, wow.
Which is like not a big deal. Yeah.
No, not at all.
So,
well, I think, sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
no,
that sounds cool. I love it. That'll be great. I want to see pictures.
Yeah, we're really looking forward. We've never been, and we're like, all right, let's do it.
Yes. Well, let's go ahead and get started with our fun conversation, Paul. We've been having fun already. So, hey, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Nonprofit Coffee Talk. We hope you find the session today helpful. I know you will. I am very excited to have as a guest today Paul F. Morris with Foundry Fundraising. And we are just going to have a riveting, fun conversation about all kinds of things. We had donor retention and acquisition on our marketing materials. We're definitely going to talk about that. But we just don't know where this conversation is going to take us. It's going to take us wherever we feel like it should go, I think. So just a little bit, and welcome, Paul, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to where we go.
Yeah, I am too. I'm looking forward to it. This is kind of my favorite type of conversation, just like the conversation will go wherever, we decide. So Paul is comfortable with strategic visioning and tactical fundraising. He has nearly 30 years in a career in fundraising, and his work has resulted in tens of millions of dollars being raised and thousands of donors being engaged for lots of different nonprofit organizations. His experience is broad and deep. In his consulting practice, Paul works with clients nationwide with a focus on planning and systems, annual and major gift support and grants. And Paul also has a commitment to giving back to his community and the profession, including regularly speaking and teaching and helping small or emerging nonprofits navigate success. So it's wonderful. It's a fascinating history, by the way. Your background is.
Yeah, I couldn't get hired cleaning swimming pools for a summer. This is a true story. This is absolutely 100% true.
Is it really?
It is. It's totally true. And I fell into fundraising, and I knew immediately that not only was it what I wanted to do, but it's who I am. And I think that is everyone that I have met who has worked in philanthropy, they have some element of that. And I think that that's why this sector is so strong and continues to grow, is because people see it as more than a job or more than a stepping stone. Yeah. It's like they mean it, and they want to do something.
Yeah, it's the means to so much good happening. Fundraising is often the vehicle. It's the biggest part of the vehicle, probably. Well, not the biggest, but it's a very important part.
Yes,
without
absolutely.
No money,
absolutely.
No mission. Right? Is the saying?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
And just by way of introduction, I'm Libby V, nonprofit champion and founder of Libby V and Associates. Through visioning and strategy work, leadership coaching, development support, and organizational and board development, our nonprofit leader clients successfully raise more money and have more impact and more fun while they're doing it. But not all nonprofits can afford to hire a consultant. So much like Paul, I give back and I do some mentoring and things like that. But I also created the nonprofit Coffee Talk as a way to provide great content and helpful information to as many nonprofit people as I can by bringing on really great guests like the one today to talk about a wide variety of topics. So I'm always open to hearing your suggestions about what topics you'd like to have discussed on the Nonprofit Coffee Talk. And if you'd like to be a guest or have somebody you'd recommend as a guest, please reach out. It's easy to get in touch with me, and I'll put my email address in the chat, but it's libbyv with as in V as in victory at libbyv.com. So, all right, here we go. How about if we do start out the conversation with donor acquisition and retention, since we sort of put that out there as a topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the two, I think that the two are equal sides of the same coin, right? It's very cliche, but I think it's totally true. And right, everyone in the philanthropy press, on LinkedIn, and countless webinars are talking about just how terrible retention rates are in the nonprofit space. And you know what? By and large, it's true, but it's a problem that we can actually solve. And we don't need technology, and we don't need a big budget. We can, and it doesn't matter what size of our organization. There's actually there are very easy things that we can do to improve retention. And that is simply paying attention to people who choose to invest in our missions. Now, let me be clear, right, before anyone starts clutching their pearls, that it's not about fawning over donors or twisting the mission to serve donors or even to center their needs and wants in your work or your daily life or in your mind. It's none of that. It's treating donors as partners in propelling the organization forward, right? And they have, because they have a role to play, they have made a financial investment, they have a stake in what you're doing. So, I think that there are three easy things to do. One, acknowledge a donation right away in some way. Most CRMs these days, if someone makes a donation online, you can set up a logic that immediately sends them a message, and even might be a pop-up saying, "Thank you so much." Do that. That's a really easy way to get the ball rolling.
Yes.
But then if you can, send a timely acknowledgement or a call. It doesn't have to be the standard, dear Paul, thank you so much for your recent donation of blah, blah, blah. This is what it's done, and here, the tax information at the bottom. It could be a phone call. Hey, Paul, my name, I'm Libby. I'm on the board of X organization, and I'm just calling to say thank you so much for your recent contribution. I'll remember that. I will remember that because it happens so infrequently. So do some kind of acknowledgement. It doesn't have to be super fancy, not in lights, whatever, but something, and do it in a timely way. I would say, within a couple of weeks. I mean, the conventional wisdom, which who knows if it's true or not, is like 72 hours. Some organizations that I know of, they don't put any money in the bank until they send out an acknowledgement, which is kind of an incentive to do it quickly.
Yeah.
But for some organizations that are small or emerging, where someone is wearing 10 different hats and picking up the mail, okay, in a week, 2 weeks maybe is okay. People are pretty, especially if you have an automated message that says thank you.
Yeah.
And then start to deliver relevant and timely information. That can be a whole range of things. It can be a timed email series. I love a timed email series, right? Where an email goes out, thank you so much for your recent gift. Here's the impact. And then another message, maybe with video, right? Video is becoming so easy to embed. Here's, wanted to share this story with you. And then a couple of weeks later, another message, we have this coming up, or we wanted to bring your attention to this. It's relevant, timely, interesting information. And it gives me an opportunity to interact with it or not. But at least I know you're paying attention to me.
Yeah.
It could even go to, a phone call. Would love to hear. I love new donor. I love to talk with new or current donors or recently lapsed donors when I get to an organization. And the first question I ask always is, what inspired your gift?
Yes.
Get the person talking, have a conversation, because that really, I think that is what drives retention. It's the person on the other end feels like they are a partner in this. I would say that if you're not willing to make the time, or you say you've talked yourself into that you don't have the time, are you really serious about propelling your mission forward? Because money isn't just going to fall out of the sky. I do not have a unicorn under my desk pooping money. No one does, right? So small things, small, easy things that can be done to really drive retention up, that just making a habit
Yes.
makes it so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
On the acquisition side, everyone wants to, it's like, we need to acquire donors. We need to acquire donors. We need more donors. We need more donors. I get it. But everyone looks outward and wants to like draw people in, like with some siren song of, some siren song of their mission. And I'm sorry, there is so much noise, so many options, so much distraction, right? That is a terrible play. It's costly, and it does not, the results, I think, are not great. I like to play the acquisition game inside out. And starting with, and the reason for that is simply, if you start inside out, you start with your, current donors and ask them to increase their investment, or recently lapsed donors, encouraging them to come back with something that is exciting, interesting, timely, it speaks to them. Well, that's way easier because they already know who you are.
Right.
They are a fan. They are an investor in what you're doing and who you are and what you're doing. So why wouldn't you start there and then start to work outward to further? Then, and this is, acquisition is a great way to involve who? Your board. To me, it is non-negotiable that boards participate in both acquisition and retention by undertaking activities, whether it's making acknowledgement calls or doing thank you notes or introducing people in their network, even one person, introduce that one person to the organization and get them excited in who you are, what you do. And, there's a network effect. If I am sharing this with 1 or 3 or 5 people, they trust me. And if I say to them, this is important, then they're going to pay attention because they know who I am and they can trust me. And then on the organization side, it's like, for God's sake, make it easy for someone to participate. Do not make it difficult, right? Don't make me click through 3 different pages and 10 pop-ups to take some kind of an action. If you want me to sign up for your newsletter, you better publish it pretty regularly, right? Or if I sign up to volunteer or get more information, if you don't call me back or contact me in a reasonable amount of time, I'm out. I'm on to something else. And it may not be your cause. It could be, the latest series of red panda videos on TikTok, which is, I'll be honest, that's my weakness, right? That's what I'm looking at on TikTok is red panda videos. And so if you send me red panda videos, I'm going to be into it. Right. But
somebody has you in their donor management system marked as a red panda lover.
Red panda videos. Absolutely. I'm going to eat that up. But really, it's, again, it's not difficult. It's not a massive undertaking. You don't need fancy technology. It's very simple things done consistently and done well, right? That will allow you to keep the donors that you have, as well as find new supporters, because those retained donors are going to be talking about who you are, what you do, why they're involved. And that's free.
Yes.
Right. And, but a lot of organizations, they seem to get caught up in, they need just the right message, or they need X piece of technology, or they don't have the time, or they don't know anyone, right? I hear that a lot. Oh, we don't know anyone. I'm like, well, actually, you do.
Yeah.
Because if you go into your database, there are probably people who gave last year, but not this year, that
Right.
are just waiting. They're just waiting
Yes.
for you
Right.
to get in touch with them.
Tell people all the time, don't just let lapse donors lapse without reaching out to them, because they need to know that you see them, right? And
Right,
I
right.
told
Oh
of
my
an
gosh, yes.
organization, and I have a question from somebody who's out there watching in just a minute, but I donated to an organization for a long time and then just stopped, or my credit card expired or something, and so they never reached out to me, even though I donated for like 15 years in a row. And it's like, well, you know what the message was for me and what the message is for everybody else's donors? You apparently don't need my money, and you apparently don't care whether I donate or not. You know,
Right,
it's
right.
important that you acknowledge, and reach out. So,
Yes, yes. Or it, right. We all hear and have all learned that development is a relationship business, right? It's
yeah.
about relationships and building relationships and nurturing
Hmm.
relationships. And that is 100% true.
Hmm.
I think organizations that do that well, do acquisition, retention well, really believe that it is a relationship, and relationships are partnerships, and it's a two-way
Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
They don't put the donor's needs above the organization, right?
Right.
And I know that's a real danger. And there are a lot of people who do that. They're so afraid
Hmm.
that the money isn't out there that they will tie themselves in knots and completely change who they are or do very sketchy things in the service of donors. But I would argue that that is a very transactional mindset.
It is.
It's not about
It
partnership.
is.
It's not about building something bigger and inviting people to be a part of that. And I would also posit that perhaps it is sadly a lack of confidence
Yeah.
that, you know what, your organization is going to be okay.
Hmm.
If you, right, if you have to say no to someone,
Hmm.
it'll be all right. I mean,
Yeah.
I have had to say no to donors because they wanted too much.
Yes,
They wanted things that
absolutely.
were inappropriate. And saying no is hard, right?
Yes.
It's hard.
Hmm.
I understand
Hmm.
that. But if it means losing the ethos of your organization, if it means compromising the community that you serve, if it
Yeah.
means making changes that just don't feel right, you
Hmm.
walk away. You walk
Yep.
away and be confident that what you're doing is valuable and important.
Hmm.
And if you and other people will want to hear about it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right.
And I think a really well thought out gift acceptance policy is makes it easier
Mm,
to say no, because you
mhm.
can just say my board has established a gift acceptance policy, and that doesn't qualify. Like our policy states I can't accept that, right? I can't do
Right,
that.
right.
So it's a
And then
good
it's not
way to.
you. Yeah, that's such a,
Right.
that is such a
Yeah.
great that is such a great point. Then it's not you, it's a policy or the committee, right? I've killed plenty of
Yeah, it's
ideas
the
by saying,
organization saying no, not the individual, right?
right,
Kind of idea.
right. I
Yeah.
have killed off plenty of ideas saying, "Oh, I'll have to take that to my committee."
Yeah. 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 What committee?
But right, exactly. But I mean, really, you're so right that there are tools out there that you can use to ensure that what you're doing is ethical, compassionate,
Yes.
um, has integrity. It allows you to remain true to who you
Mhm.
are and who your
Mhm.
organization is.
Yeah, it's so important. So we have a question.
Okay.
Anne is listening from or watching from LinkedIn. She is just really consistent, like every week, and I really appreciate that, Anne. I appreciate you so much tuning in. Her question is, and I know this will be a robust answer. Do you have advice for a brand new nonprofit who only has family donating so far for acquiring non-family donors?
You start asking your friends. Go outside, right? If it's just family right now, you all have 1, 2 friends that you can go to and say, hey, I'd like to talk with you about a cause that's really important to me. You're not going to ask them right away, right? You're just going to talk. You're going to start by sharing with them what you're doing, why it's important, seeing how they react to that. They may not be into it, right? And if they're not, okay, maybe they know someone. The other thing that I would offer is, if you can get, I mean, it's very old school, but if you can get to civic community employee groups, do a 10 or 15-minute presentation about who you are, what you're doing, why it's important, why people want to pay attention. And I think that's the key, is why would someone want to pay attention, right? And it's making the case. And if you're talking about a cause that's important, okay, I get it, it's important to you. But what you have to share with me is how it can become important to me. I'm listening because I know you, I like you, we're friends, we're coworkers, whatever, right? We're on the same bowling team, right? We go to the same faith, we're involved in the same faith community. But why is it going to be important to me, right? If it doesn't matter what it is, right? The great thing that I have learned over the years is people donate or invest, they donate or invest in a nonprofit for any number of reasons.
Yes, true.
You can use that, right? If you can say, this is why it's important to you. Now we're on to something. And then, right, if someone is willing to invest, now you've got them. And you can then say, thank you so much for your investment. This is amazing, and it's going to have this impact. Would you share what you're doing with others? Would you be willing to introduce me to others that who would be interested in what we're doing?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. If I could just interject, if you don't mind. I also, long ago heard a fundraising consultant named Gail Perry say the following, and I just love it. If you want advice, ask for money. If you want money, ask for advice. People are very flattered. So you could even kind of say, hey, here's my pitch, or here's my case for support. What resonates with you? And what are you sort of like, well, that's not, who cares? Like, get some feedback. And that's another way to engage people, right? Is just to ask them to help. And also, I would always be kind of ready to have a conversation with all the ways they could engage with your organization, right? So that people may not donate money, but they might donate their time to you or their expertise and help you on a project or whatever. I think it's really important to be open to not just focusing on getting money. That's very transactional, right? But where would you like to fit in? Where do you see yourself,
right. And yes, I think that is one of the truisms of development. Ask for money, get advice, ask for advice, get money. Yeah, I think that's relatively true, but also at some point you have to ask for something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. And, advice, one of the things I learned early on in my career from a person who became a good friend and really a mentor who was very important to me, is that in a development role, right, I was taking my first development director job, and what Lynn shared was, it's like, ask questions, seek out advice, but be willing to make decisions.
Yes.
Right. And I have never, like nearly 30 years later, I have never forgotten that. I'm curious. I like to ask questions. I'm curious, but at some point I have to stop doing that and make a decision and take some kind of an action. And I think often smaller organizations or emerging organizations or people who are new to the profession, there's a comfort in asking for advice or perspective. And it's like, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, right? And you're putting it, that's great. But you got to ask. You have to say, will you be a part of this task force to help us do X? Will you invest X? Because
can we add you to our newsletter distribution list? Like, you do have to ask questions, and you have to listen really well to understand what motivates them, what excites them. Like, you really have to be actively listening in order to ask the right questions at the right times, right?
Right. Absolutely. People, if they're willing to talk to you, that's 80%, right? You're 80% of the way.
It's true.
The next 20% is if you're just listening and really kind of digging in on what motivates them by asking open-ended questions, letting them just talk. They will tell you everything, including often how much they're willing to invest in your cause.
It's true. Yeah, if you're a good listener, and again, I like the 80-20 rule, right? Listen 80% of the time and talk 20. Like, don't go into a first-time meeting and think you're going to pitch somebody and talk the whole time and convince them. That is not the way this works. Not the way it works.
Absolutely. I can be very charming and persuasive, but even I do not have the ability to convince someone to make an investment in a cause of any amount without, I don't have that magical ability. But when I listen, and what I like to do often with new donors, if I'm meeting them face to face, I like to take notes of our conversation. And I'll do it not on my laptop, not on my phone. I'm a fan of field notes, right? These little 3x5 notebooks. And I will pull that out and I'll be taking notes. And I'll ask their permissions. Like, is it okay if I take some notes?
That's a great practice.
And because I want to remember what they've said so that I can enter it in my CRM later. But also, if they get into territory that is really super personal, or maybe it's private, I will stop taking notes. I'll close my notebook with my pen inside, and I'll just be listening.
That's great.
And they see that. It's a visual. It's like they're seeing.
And nobody minds that. Nobody ever minds that. I think they're flattered that you're actually going to pay attention enough to be able to take notes and you want to remember what they said, right?
Right. Exactly. It's just, it's a little thing, but it has made a huge difference in establishing those connections with people.
Yeah. This has been great, Paul. And of course, it's already time for us to close up here. So thank you for all this. And you're right. I'd love to have you come back. So if you want to get back on
anytime
rotation, that would be great. I'm booked out through September. So, that would be good timing to go ahead and get on if you want to come back in a few months. Pick a date that works for you. So thank you for spending time, not just today, but like filling out our questionnaire and getting ready for this appearance. It's been really great. And before I close out, I just wanted to share that with a fundraising consultant, or not consultant, a fundraising development officer locally who's very good. We put together a program called Impact Giving, and I put the link in the chat. We're offering it at a really low price. So if you want to join, we're going to teach you all the things about how to work with donors and engage people and get gifts. So, and again, for a very low price. So feel free to check that out if you want to, no pressure. And then next week, please join us when our guest will be Catherine McDonald, founder of Just Be Cause Consulting, Just Be Cause Consulting. And we're going to talk about non-human philanthropy. So when you're raising money for animals and the environment, what do you do? How's that different? It's pretty different. So that should be a good conversation for all of you that are working in those fields. So, And thank you for tuning in week after week. Many of you, Amanda, Ann, you're out there in LinkedIn land. I don't know who else is on, but thank you so much. And everybody have a great week. Paul, I look forward to seeing you again. And again, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. This was really fantastic. I look forward to our next conversation.
Great. See you, everyone.
Bye.